We're going to move to investments in cyber and AI. I'm going to give you a short introduction. And thank you to our great speakers. Such an important conversation. Okay, the second part of this session will focus on the cutting-edge technologies emerging from Israel's innovation ecosystem, particularly in cybersecurity, AI, and defense-related dual-use solutions. The discussion will explore how venture-backed innovation is transforming defense capabilities, attracting global investments, and shaping the next generation of security technologies. This segment will highlight the investor perspective and the growing collaboration between Israel ingenuity and American capital and markets. It's a privilege for me to introduce our moderator, Gil Zimmermann, and he will introduce the two speakers. Thank you. Okay, Gil Zimmermann. He's the founder and general partner of Lama Partners. He's an Israeli-American entrepreneur and investor. He has built, scaled, and exited multiple category-defining cyber and AI companies in Israel and the US. I know that everybody would like to engage in conversation. Please, may you do it outside. Gil is the founder of Lama Partners, an AI-native venture fund built by founders for founders, with offices in Tel Aviv and Boston. He is a member of the New England IAC Council. Gil, I'm going to let you take it from here, and thank you to our speakers.
Thank you very much, Esti. Thank you, everybody, for being here. Just want to take a moment to thank the IAC, and specifically Esti and Shelly, for putting this forum together in this panel. And maybe just before we get started, I want to give you guys some a reason to pay attention. Okay? So you might not.
All of you leaving should be staying.
Yeah, so you guys should be staying. I want you to listen just to hear this. Okay? So I'll start by sharing some stats that you might not be familiar with, and then we'll do some quick round of introductions and dive right into it. So the Israeli high-tech sector makes up 20% of Israel's GDP, 50% of exports, and employs 12% of the employees of the workforce in Israel. In 2025, the year we just finished, Israeli tech funding, high-tech funding, hit $15.6 billion. Of that, 70% in cyber and in AI, and another $1 billion in defense. This is the vast majority. This is more than all previous years combined. And exits in 2025 in the same space accumulated over $60 billion. So hopefully I have your attention now. This is a big deal. My name is Gil Zimmermann. As I mentioned, I'm a hybrid Israeli-American, born in Israel, raised in the States, moved back to Israel, served in the IDF 8200 Mamram units, and then moved back. I've been an entrepreneur, and now I'm an investor, so I'm hybrid on both fronts. And I'm excited to talk to you guys today. Outside of doing that, I'm also on the New England Council, so I'm excited to see some friendly faces here. And I'm thrilled to host two really exceptional leaders and investors in our ecosystem. Nimrod Cohen, founder and managing partner of TAU Ventures from Tel Aviv University, been in this business for 8+ years. And David Blumberg, founder and managing partner of Blumberg Capital, 35 years in the business. So they know a thing or two. Nimrod, would you like to give a quick word and introduce yourself?
Sure. Maybe before I start, you know, when you got invited to a panel, you never know how many people are going to show up, right? So a couple of years ago, I was invited to this event in Europe, and when I got on stage, I realized there's only one guy in the audience. So I was like, well, if it's just me and you, we don't need the slides. Let's have a beer and talk about the subject. So he was like, well, I'd love to, but I'm the next speaker. So, so thank you all for being here. My personal background, I guess it's not the typical VC guy background. I started around sports. I played professional basketball. I was sure that's the only thing I'm going to do in my life, never have a real job. Almost made it. I mean, I played professionally, but in a certain point, I combined my basketball career with, as my mother used to say, serious stuff. Studied law and business, did mentorship, became an entrepreneur, had my own startups, and been an investor in the last 15 years or so, invested in almost 70 startups, Israeli founders-related startups, about 6 unicorns so far, hopefully soon will be the 7th. And 7 years ago, I founded TAU Ventures together with Tel Aviv University. It's a VC that basically enjoy the different resources of the university from deal flow and the way to help our entrepreneurs and so on. I'll maybe stop here and let David take it from here, and then we get back to that.
Sure. David Blumberg, as reported. I live just about 5 minutes away from here, so you shall move to Miami or Israel. Can't hear. Okay, sorry. I'm David Blumberg, founder and managing partner at Blumberg Capital. We're an early stage, growth stage venture capital fund. Most of what we do is US, Israel, a little bit of Canada, a little bit of Europe, because that's the innovation hub. That's what's happening in the world today with good governance and so on. So we're in the right geographies. We're also in the right sectors. The right sectors today are all driven by AI. It's affecting every single segment because it's the knowledge revolution. The internet was about the communications revolution and so on, and then there was agricultural revolution and industrial, but this one is about knowledge, and every industry we're in can do better with better knowledge and more agentic AI, and that's the next part of it where we're focused, which is the automation of the process steps, making things more autonomous, more self-completing, self-executing. That's where we're investing. We have about 80 companies in the portfolio now. We're in 4 offices here in Sunny Isles, in Miami, San Francisco, New York, and Tel Aviv. Team of about 25 people, about $1 billion under management. You made it sound easy because you've only been in business a shorter time and you've already got 6 unicorns. It's taken us 35 years to get 11, but we got them. And it's interesting because, we talked about startups. These companies, we invested in when they were zero revenue. So we like to find companies very early. Nothing is too early for us because we're interested in your growth. So how many entrepreneurs here in the audience, by the way? Okay, these are our people. Excellent, excellent. How many investors? Excellent. Okay, you can talk to us about LP status. Very good. And what else do we want? Anybody else? Who are folks that are from Israel wanting to break into the US market? Oh, they're not here. They're out selling. Okay, that's all right. Anyway, that's probably enough about me, but we're excited to be here. The topic, I think, really is about cyber and defense, and they are merging. In fact, I'll just give one little quote. Tim Ray, who was the head of SAC, Strategic Air Command, and before that was number 2 at CENTCOM, said, I asked him, what's the major military threat we're facing today in the Western world? And he said, cyber attacks against civilian infrastructure. That's it. Because as Boaz Levy and the others on the panel before was talking about, if you can wipe out the electrical infrastructure or the water, et cetera, the military is going to have trouble fighting. So we really have to harden ourselves because the enemies are not going to play by nice rules. Right? They're sponsors of terrorism, and when we have to have a war with them, they're going to use every means at their ability to go after us, civilian and military targets. On that nice note.
All right. So we'll try to keep it short on the questions that we've prepared, and then we'll like to open it up to the audience. Since there's so many entrepreneurs here, I'm sure you guys have a bunch of questions for David and Nimrod as well. So maybe you guys will start off with the fact that there's been a rough few years with quite a few distractions for our technology ecosystem. And despite that, despite those distractions, we've been able to continue to grow our sector, and some would say we're at an inflection point. I'd love to hear your thoughts and maybe share with the crowd why today and now is the right time to make cyber defense and AI investments in Israel specifically.
Okay. I'm going to not start with Israel. I'm going to start with the U.S. because the U.S. just passed probably the most revolutionary tax bill for venture capital ever in history. It's called Qualified Small Business Stock. And if you're an Israeli company, you can create an American subsidiary and take advantage of this. It essentially means zero tax for your early stage founders, funders, and investors. It's an amazing thing. I'm not a tax expert, but please look into it. QSBS, powerful. And it's inflation adjusted. So this product or program will continue to get better and save you taxes going forward for decades, hopefully. It's survived bipartisan presidents. It started under Clinton. It's still around today, but improved by this bill. Okay, that's number 1. Number 2, the AI revolution is coming for everybody. And the defense world is coming for everybody. And I'm going to quote Stalin, not my favorite guy, but he was smart on certain things. He said, you may not be interested in war, but the war is interested in you. We can't run away from it. Cyber and hardcore kinetics are merging. we're involved now, mostly we've been doing enterprise software and cyber for our whole 35 years of investing. We're also now involved with one of the largest American kinetics companies selling guns, okay, machine guns, rifles, bullets, etc. And guess what's coming next? Drone-powered machine guns, or flying machine guns, essentially. The world of the gimbal that you've seen from Hollywood, where you can precisely target everything, is coming to a firearm near you. Machine gun, rifles, etc. Autonomous will be a big part of it as well. So these are powerful trends going on in the military, which we were just hearing about in the last panel. The tax situation is great. The macroeconomic situation, particularly in Israel and the US, is outstanding. The US and Israel are the two best places probably in the world to be investing in tech right now. I just think it's sort of obvious. Who's going to invest in China right now? Somebody has to, because we've got to make some stuff there, but most people don't want to, because they know it's not a fair playing field. Israel's a fair playing field, US is a fair playing field. And I just want to go against one of the things that you said a moment ago, not against you. There's a meme that, oh, Israel's a dangerous place to invest. Guess what? Last year, Israel surpassed Germany in GDP per capita. Okay? So if I name all these countries, Israel is ahead of Japan, Germany, England, France, Italy, and Spain in GDP per capita. Israel is a rich country. It's doing really well. And the little secret on software, 20% of the GDP and 50% of exports and so on, SaaS model software doesn't stop selling during a war. Israel did just fine, thank you very much, during the war. Those Israeli companies were very resilient because they were software companies. They're not, agriculture had a tough time. Tourism had a tough time. SaaS model software kept selling their stuff month by month, even when their developers were off in the reserves, which was tough. So their new functions maybe got delayed, but the revenue kept coming in. So think about that. It's not as risky as you may think reading the headlines.
Yeah. So just to be clear, the stats that I shared are a reason to invest in Israel, not against. Absolutely, I agree with you 100%. Maybe, Nimrod, can you touch a little bit about how where the defense and cybersecurity continue to be a growth driver? We talked about where it's gotten us up until now, but what happens going forward? We're past the war. What's changed, and why do you think that's good for us?
Well, TAU Ventures basically is a sector-agnostic fund, but aside from our VC activity, we run an accelerator for 7 years now with the Israeli Shabak, what we call the Shin Bet, or the security agency. So we're pretty familiar with that field. And I think what we see is that I think each and every one of us as individuals or as corporates or countries, we keep looking for what we do best or where we have some advantages compared to others. And if you look at Israel and look at the things that we need to go through, unfortunately, or the relevant experience that we have, obviously, you see cybersecurity and defense as some of the leading industries, because for us, it's not something theoretical. For us, it's the real thing. For example, we see so many Israeli entrepreneurs going out to reserve. They see some kind of a need in the market, because at the end of the day, it's a market. I mean, sorry to say, but battlefield is a market, and they see things that are not working well, and they finish the reserve, and they go out, and they decide to just establish a startup that's going to focus on that need in the market that you just saw. And that's the best situation to someone to start a startup. If you feel a need and you see it by yourself and then you want to address that, that may be the best situation for you. So Israel has a unique advantage. If you see what's going on around the world now, I guess governments all over the world realize that world peace is probably going to wait a little bit. So they shift tons of money in order to prepare themselves for the next war, meaning that those giants like Boeing and Raytheon, they are super happy. But really innovation, it's not coming from those type of organizations. It's coming from startups where they take high risk and they try crazy stuff. And all that together brings me to the conclusion that, yes, I guess that's maybe the best field and the best timing. And I personally think that we are facing the best decade in the history of Israel. I can elaborate about that, but I don't want to take the entire time for that. So,
Just a few quick stats. You understand that the U.S. budget for defense went up to about almost $1 billion this year. Next year, he wants to put it up to $1 trillion. Trump just announced he wants to do $1.5 trillion. That would be a massive increase. I don't know if that'll get through Congress, but whatever the increase is, it's significant compared to the declining years we had for the 4 previous years of defense. That's number one. Number two, NATO. NATO was underperforming, not pulling its weight. went from under 2% spending on defense to now Trump is pushing them and they're accepting 5%. So huge tailwinds there. Netanyahu just announced a huge, $100 billion program for made in Israel technology. And so they don't want to run out of weapons again, okay? They don't want to run out of bombs or bullets or anything like that. So there'll be some made in Israel. And guess what? Israel's not alone. The Saudis want to build in their Australians are worried about Australia. Many countries will want to build a lot of stuff locally because they're afraid of being cut off. This is a growth industry, I'm sorry to say. But again, we can't get rid of war. And so while we can't get rid of it, we have to be prepared to defend ourselves because the bad guys are out there and they're armed.
That's a perfect segue, actually, David, for a comment that came up in the previous section, talking about basically necessity being the mother of innovation. And in Israel, this is a necessity, right? And our defense is a necessity. I'd love to hear your thoughts on, it wasn't always the case on the global stage. And here we're a little bit in an echo chamber. Who here is either Israeli or Jewish? Okay, so we might be a little biased.
And welcome to those of you who are not. We
And if
really
you're not,
need allies.
absolutely.
Thank you for coming.
Yes, thank you all for being here. But I'd love to talk about just how the rest of the world views Israeli cyber, AI, and defense. Something that maybe used to be taboo. We just talked about, and Boaz Levi just talked about the embargoes that we faced during the war. It wasn't always the case that Israeli tech was opened and welcomed with open arms, as well as as an investor lens. So I'd love to hear your thoughts on what are you seeing with non-Israeli investors, et cetera, that you partner with in your companies.
Yeah, actually, it's not just non-Israelis. I can tell you that, again, we've been around these areas for like 7 years, much before it was cool to invest in defense and dual-use technologies with the accelerator that we run. And I can tell you that until like 3 years ago, when we have a bunch of companies growing up from our accelerator with defense or dual-use technologies, and I wanted to share with some of my colleagues, investors, decks of those companies, they're like, hey, don't even bother. Send the decks. We will not open the decks. For us, it's like porn or gaming. We are not doing anything like that. And all of a sudden, in the last 2 or 3 years, they're like, yeah, of course we're doing defense. Like it's ESG. It's doing good to the world. I mean, just bring them on. I mean, we'll be happy to invest. And you saw defense tech companies, again, 4 or 5 years ago, they would keep looking for some kind of applications for the civilian market. And now, crazy as it sounds, civilian companies looking for defense applications because they want to go with the flow. They want to go where the money is. So you see top leading VCs from all over the world raising funds just to focus on defense technologies. You see banks, you see insurance companies, you see institutionals' money. They all follow this trend because I don't think it's a trend. I think it's the real thing now. So, and everyone wants to be there. So totally changed in the last couple of years.
Can we also talk about exits? Okay, exits are very important for you as investors and us as venture capital funds and, of course, for the founders. So the exits are happening. Now, it's especially true in the last year in cyber for Israeli companies. I mean, amazing number of exits and record high prices paid for by the biggest companies like Palo Alto Networks buying and so on and so forth. Some companies even going public. So it's a very good time for exits right now, which has then raised the price, unfortunately for us investors, of the startups that are starting out because they think, oh, we're going to get that multi-billion-dollar exit. But remember, it's very few percentage of the companies that start finish at that high level, but it's possible, and we've seen it now repeatedly, dozens of successful exits of Israeli companies in the last few years in the multi-billion-dollar kind of category and $100 million category above. So that's very validating for investors. There's been a dearth since 2021 era when there was lots of IPOs and exits. The last few years have been slow. It's starting again, and Israel's in the lead, certainly in cyber.
Agreed 100%. So I'm a little biased as a hybrid, and I mentioned hybrid Israeli-American. My fund, Lama Partners, we're split 50-50 between Israel, Tel Aviv, and Boston. I'd like to talk about the importance of the Israeli-American bridge. You mentioned exits. Most of the exits happen here. If you think about Israeli high tech, most of the customers are here in the US as well. So I'd love for you guys to share your thoughts on the importance and the caliber of the partnerships and relationships we're able to build between Israel and the United States on all fronts related to entrepreneurial, and then maybe we'll open it up to some questions.
So I guess Israel and Israeli founders and entrepreneurs are well known with their deep technologies and out-of-the-box solutions, but the scale is not in Israel. The scale is mostly in the US. most of the money coming from the US, global corporates are mostly in the US, and that bridge is a must if we want to take those very unique technologies coming out of Israel and affect the world at the end of the day. So I guess for everyone in that game, from entrepreneurs to investors to the entire actually world, creating this bridge basically, it's first lower the risk, because for us as investors, when we see great technology, that's not enough. I mean, it's even less important in a way. You wanna, as fast as you want, as you can, you wanna have design partners, for example. And if you have the top corporates from the US being design partners of our unique technologies, it's dramatically lower the risk. And if you have the right investors from the US with the right connections, again, the revenue is gonna come much faster. So this entire thing is critical in bridging the Israeli technology with the scale in the US. And it's not something new. Obviously, it happens, in the last tens of years. But now I think it's even more crucial, because I don't want to say we're isolated, but there's less openness of working with Israel now, less money coming to Israel. There are some corporates, some of them European or Asian, they are saying to our startups, hey, we will not work with you because you're from Israel. And I think that's the time, but at the end of the day, they're going to buy our technology because they just have to buy it. But that's the time, I think, to increase the collaboration between Israel and the US, and then let the others to run after our technology later on.
Just to make that concrete, at Blumberg Capital, and many other firms have similar, we have an innovation council of about 100 plus CIOs, CISOs, chief information officers, chief security officers, et cetera, chief technology officers at Fortune 500 and similar companies. And we meet quarterly, New York, San Francisco, so 8 times a year. And basically the idea is to have us have a prepared mind to know what are they thinking about, what are they worried about. I'll just throw it out. They're worried about the SOC, the Security Operations Center, is overwhelmed with too many alerts, too much manual stuff. They want autonomy and automation and prevention. Too much of cyber has been involved in reacting and solving a problem. But wouldn't it be better if we could prevent the problem in the first place? Faster, cheaper, better. So that's a lot of where things are going. AI will be a big boon in this, because AI can look at billions and billions of data points and extract value and knowledge out of otherwise maybe meaningless data. So this is a big positive combination. One thing you have not heard, I don't think, that's the security layer for agentic AI is completely new. An agent is a bot that goes out on your behalf or behalf of a corporation and does some process. That agent has to be validated. Who is it? Who is it working for? Is it doing the right thing? What access does it have? What data can it extract? There's a whole new layer. It's like there are people, there are machines, and now there are bots, and they need to be validated too. So it's a whole new area for cyber that we're super excited about. But again, find a venture capital group, or two of us will work together as maybe an Israeli-based VC and a VC with mostly American helpers, because you're going to need help outside of Israel. Israel is where the innovation happens, but the market, as we've said, is really outside, and it's mainly these days in the US. And I'll just disagree. I don't find many companies turning Israel down anymore. In fact, I was in a Kitzbühel ski resort VC conference last summer, and it was in the middle, the war was still going, and I was talking to all these European investors, and they said, oh, there's one place we're not investing anymore. I said, uh-oh, they're going to say Israel. They said, China. They're not going to invest in China anymore. They said, we have to choose. We're going to choose the West. We're not going to choose China. And Israel was, they're great. And there wasn't any problem with Israel. So I'm not doubting.
So send them over.
Yeah. I'm not doubting there are some. Those people are cutting off their nose to spite their face. Yep.
Excellent. So you guys are probably convinced by now. Who here is a aspiring entrepreneur? Raise your hands. Anybody want to start a cyber defense or AI startup? Love to open it up for some questions. We got one over there. Just guys, I don't think we have an extra mic. Oh, we do have an extra mic. Okay. So hit us up. You got a panel of experts here. So
and maybe if you want to have a questions, maybe come to the center, and then won't have to run around. It'll be faster. Yep. Yes, sir.
Hi.
That's how Charlie Kirk used to do it.
Right. Ira Kaplan, 7 Cs, and thank you all. Sorry, I'm blocking one. I'm proud to collaborate with a founder of one of Israel's CREST-certified cybersecurity companies, representing him here in the United States. I'm not the only one representing him. You answered my question in many ways, but I wanted to just really ask this core area. We started to collaborate a year ago. I have a background in government contracting with some unique credentials, and most of my work is representing them for small and medium businesses. But he's serving in the reserves. He has a great team. They work with simultaneous automatic monitoring and preemptive security, as well as human intervention. How can I be better at anticipating their team's needs and strengths and goals when there's so many variables like the ones that you've discussed? I hope that's a focused enough question for our purposes.
Okay, first of all, you have to ask your question faster. If you're his representative, you've got to be sharper, tighter, okay? I don't mean to be harsh, but you got to do that tight. Number two, the customers will tell you what they want, okay? That's why we have this CIO council to help us have prepared mind. So when we hear an entrepreneur's pitch, we say, oh yeah, UBS wants that, and Weil Gotshal, the law firm, wants that, and General Motors wants, whatever. So talk to people who know what they're doing and have a prepared mind and can act agilely. That's not a very good verb. Be agile in response. Yes, sir. Or yes, ma'am. Who has the next question?
We got another question? Maybe I'll add one comment to you there.
There's a bit of balagan
which is
here. 1 second.
Follow them, and I think this is to David's point, follow market pull. Where most Israeli companies fail is they focus on the demand side rather than on the pull side. And what David is saying is, if you just listen to your paying customers, not generic, your startup company advisors, they're great in theory and in strategy, but in execution and tactics, especially if you're the representative, generate traction by listening to your paying customers, and just make sure they're off the charts happy, so they'll bring you more customers.
And I'm going to give you one more point. Differentiate yourself. If you're in a category, why are you better, different, and irreplaceable and unique and uniquely suited to do a better job for the customer than the other guys? Because we're always going to compare you, and you have to stand out. Yes, ma'am.
Hi, my name's Anat. I'm German-Israeli, and I'm a senior cybersecurity policy expert. Maybe you could illustrate for us a little bit what you're investing in, and tell us maybe about your 2 or 3 favorite investments and why they're your favorites, maybe a couple of your unicorns. Give us a little bit more reality of what your investments actually do. Thank you.
So at TAU Ventures,
Nimrod, just before you answer, we have to finish, so please keep it short, because as you can hear, people are coming for the next session. Thank you.
Sure, 10 minutes and I'm done, don't worry.
And we'll wait right outside. The 3 of us will wait right outside the door afterwards.
Yeah.
Great.
So anyway, we invest pre-seed investments, meaning that basically there is almost nothing before us, right? So it's by far more about the people than the product. When they start to talk to me about the features and stuff like that, I don't really care about that because I know they're going to change it, and they're going to change it a lot. I think I invested in almost 70 companies. None of them is doing exactly what they told me they're going to do. It's not because they are liars. Actually, some of them are liars, but that's a different story. And you ask for one of success story or something that I'm super proud. So it's a company, not yet a unicorn. I believe it will be the next unicorn. It's a company called Extend. It's a drone company. We were the first investors there. They've been through a lot of hard times because they were defense tech. And I think they are responsible to the proudest moment for me as an investor. A couple of months ago, or a bit more than that, if you guys saw the last video of Yehi Sinwar, just because before he got bumped, so it was taken by Extend, one of our portfolio companies, drones. So for me, it was the most exciting moment. We are looking for great return to our investors, but as an Israeli citizen, to see how technology is making the world a better place, so it's the best it can get for me.
I'll try and be very precise. Agentic AI is going to affect everything. So we love that area. Now, what's very important for us to see is that you own your own data, a unique data set, or you're building a unique data set with your customers. If you have generic data, you've got to have some angle on it that's going to make you have a sustainable business edge and sustainable margins. Because if you have commodity data, often your margins will go to commodity margins. That's number one. Number two, I'll give you an example. We have a fascinating company. Remember Wiz that just sold for, what, $30-something billion? Huge success, very rapid rise. They are good at solving problems of configuration or misconfiguration on the cloud. We've invested in a company called Aryon, Israeli guys, and they prevent you from misconfiguring the cloud. So we are moving from, it's like a shift left. Okay, it's moving from solve the problem to prevent the problem. We're looking for companies like that in cyber specifically.
I'll give you like one area that's a huge cheat code that not many people are paying attention to, and then we'll wrap it up, which is AI opens the door to a brand new addressable market, which is the labor market. It's a $6 trillion market, okay? It's much bigger than the software market. And so we're very excited about, not just in the AI, on the cyber front, but also in AI, on opportunities to take over where there's human labor involved or a shortage of human labor. In cyber, there's a huge shortage of humans. In the SOC, in the application security, cloud security, anything you throw a rock at in security, they're missing people. So if you can build agentic systems that are human in the loop or completely autonomous, that are starting to provide real value and doing work, not just helping other people do work, you'll be very, very successful. Thank you all for your time.
I would like
Thank
to
you, David and Nimrod.
I would like to thank Gil Zimmermann, Nimrod Cohen, and David Blumberg. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Esti.
And I encourage you to continue the conversation with them outside if you would like to.